Hi friends, Prepared Suburbanite here, back at you with a few more thoughts. Recent conversation with some family members. We got to talking about things you can control and things you can't control and what to do about it. So stick around for some of my thoughts on the subject. So, to begin with, some of the things that you really can't control is the weather. You can't control the weather, can you? You can't control politics and what's going on in Washington, D.C., with the exception of voting every 2 to 4 years, but, that's kind of for what it's worth. How's that? You can't control food prices. You can't control utility prices. You can't control the media. You can't control social media. You can't control the stock market. You can't control the people that you may disagree with. But what can you control? And here's a real short list of things that you can control. You can control your values and your beliefs. I'll leave that stand just the way it is because you're going to know what your values are and what your beliefs are. Other things that you can control is your reaction to all the things that you can't control and your attitude about it. You can control what you say. You can control what you do. You can control your decisions, your buying decisions, your investing decisions, how you spend your time decisions. Those are things that you can control. As I mentioned before, you can control your vote for what it's worth. You can control your personal finances. You can budget. You can work within a budget. You can be disciplined. All those are the kinds of things that you really can do, that you really can control. So what about the things that you can't control? Well, here's my advice. Here's kind of what I do most of the time, is research to understand. And what I mean by that is if you come up against a concept or an idea or a philosophy that it makes you question, makes you say, what's that all about? Well, I don't understand it. Research it. Find out what it's all about. Do some due diligence. Learn what that concept or what that idea is really all about so that you can make some informed decisions, things that you can control. And you need to look at that concept, whatever it may be, whether it's political, environmental, economic, you name it. Look at it so that you can, after you've researched it, look at it so that you can prepare for considered outcomes. Now, if you've done your research and you look at whatever the concept or idea really is, and you say, well, this may not turn out real good for me. It may not turn out real good for my town, my city, my homeowners association, my state, my country. Prepare for the contingencies that are there. Learn the skills that you need to learn to be able to cope appropriately with whatever the concept is. But first and foremost is that you've got to truly understand what's going on, what's happening, and how it's going to affect you, and then you can make some informed decisions on a personal level on how you're going to deal with it. I mentioned earlier that you can't control food prices. My experience over the last 6 or 8 months or so is that food prices have inched up. They haven't gone crazy yet, but they have inched up. So what can you do? Well, you can begin supplementing your food budget with crops that you grow yourself. Now, it's the middle of August right now. Probably not a real good time to start planting spring crops, but it's a good time to begin to plan and prepare for a fall crop. Leafy vegetables, onions, rutabagas, even winter squash, that kind of stuff that you can plant now and up through September and October so that you may be able to get some augmented food stores in your pantry from your garden. Now, I'm not saying that that's the answer or the end-all cure-all for everything that's going on with food prices right now, but it is something that you can take into consideration. It's an informed decision that you can use to base your preps on. You can learn to preserve and can dehydrate, freeze dry if you can afford the machinery needed to freeze dry. Learn how to do that. Go to your local farmer's market if you have one, and we've got a couple around here in Wake County that are actually really good, well stocked, fresh fruits and vegetables, all kinds of good stuff, and you can buy in bulk at a fairly reasonable price and know that it's good quality stuff. Bring it home, learn how to can, learn how to package it appropriately, learn all the skills that you need to acquire so that you can save some money, fill in the blanks in your budget with respect to rising food prices. I think it's smart stuff to do. After you look at your budget and you can see what you can spend on your food and your regular food, you and your family, the regular groceries that you go through on a weekly basis, and if you can figure out a way to help augment that by buying a few extra cans of this and a few extra boxes of that that you can put up and store, you're going to be in much better shape. Food pricing, I think, and supply disruptions that I see that are right around the corner, I think are going to be something that we're all going to have to deal with in very short order. One other thing that you can do about the things that you can't control is invest in alternatives. And by that I mean, if you don't believe that you're going to be able to have power, or that your power frequently goes out and you won't have access to electricity, you won't have access to well water because you've got an electric pump in your well, or that you're dependent on municipal water supplies that are also dependent on power, you need to have some alternatives. Rainwater catchment systems, a way to purify it, a way to filter it, a way to make it potable for you. Where are you going to get the water to flush your toilets? That kind of a thing. So be thinking about alternatives when it comes to things like water, shelter, and home defense and self-defense. Think about the alternatives that may be available to you, because those are some of the things that you can control. All right, just to recap a couple of the concepts here. There's a whole list of things that you really can't control. The weather, politics, food prices, utility prices, social media, the media itself. But there are things that you can control. And of that, the most important thing on this list is your own personal values and beliefs. I can't advise you where to go to get the info, where to go to get the data. I know where I went. My church has been very important to me over time. The religious teachings that I've been exposed to ever since I was a young lad have really helped me formulate an awful lot of the value systems and belief systems that I hold dear. The other, and probably second most important thing you can control, is your reaction and your attitude to things that you either disagree with or don't understand. Make sure you do understand what's going on. Often said that a word spoken can't be unspoken, and that'll be there for a long, long time. So try to keep things in mind. Know and understand what you can control. Know and understand what you can't control. And know and understand what you can do to control the things that you can control. This is the Prepared Suburbanite reminding you to be prepared always. And I'll see you all on the next video.